Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Monday edition of Moohead Radio. I'm your host, a big and kind of bluish bovine. Joining me in England is Bronk. Anybody else who wants to be on the panel, feel free to jump in. It's not like we have a lot to talk about during these quiet days and the
I love
NBA
quiet
All-Star
days.
break.
Quiet days are great.
Well, it's never really quiet when you have to prep a show.
Oh,
You
well,
know?
tell me what's on your mind because I know nothing.
Uh,
I like Sergeant Schultz. I know nothing.
Yeah, I think that the direction I want to take today is, and it's been described on Twitter as the NBA just losing its direction as far as business is concerned. They don't seem to understand where things are at right now with the people who are watching the games. They don't seem to have a grasp on anything but the most obvious goofy marketing schemes that have no interest to a viewer at all. And I'll get into that in a moment, but there's one thing that's jumped to the top of the list. Now, to the fans, the All-Star break is a time where, well, prior to it, that's when the trade deadline is, and you can get new players and everything old is new again, and you can move on from George Niang and Karis LeVert and bring in DeAndre Hunter, and that's really what it is. And then you have the All-Star game itself. And all the silly skills competitions, dunk competitions that nobody participates in that anybody's heard of. Matt McClung, excuse me. G Leaguers dunking the ball. We're supposed to be entertained with that. And
Wow.
the insignificance of the All-Star game. But
Do they
there,
still play a game? I know that's a stupid question, but do they actually play like a
well,
48-minute
the
game?
format that they did this year was just it's equally as puzzling as the play-in tournament.
Oh,
It's the same
okay.
people coming up with these Vegematic ideas and putting them on paper and just rushing them into the marketplace when they're not ready for prime time. And that's obviously what's happening in the NBA. However, the insignificance of the NBA All-Star game predicated on the fact that it's not a competition, that it's just a show, it's the Harlem
Yeah,
Globetrotters,
exactly. The
and
general.
nobody's going to get hurt playing in the All-Star game, nobody's going to play defense, they're going to take turns going up and down the floor and showing off what moves they have and things of that nature. The problem lies with the fact that players, it does mean something to them being voted onto a team or not being voted
Absolutely.
on a team. Like if you're
Money.
somebody like Darius Garland, it's got to make you feel good that you're on the team, and same thing true with Evan Mobley, that you're being rewarded in some way, that the league is noticing you and you're on the map. Donovan Mitchell was already on the map, but for these other Cavaliers to be on the map, it's exciting stuff. And it's true of players across the league. If you're a little shrimp like Trae Young, you piss and you moan because you didn't get it. But he eventually got to be on the floor anyway, so he can pretend like he's an all-star. The bottom line is this, that it's important to the players more than it's important to the fans. So when you have a situation where a player like Giannis just can't play because he's hurt, and the Milwaukee Bucks need him to have a decent final 28 game run, and if they don't, they're going to be wiped out of the playoffs early if he doesn't get healthy. So there's that. And so he lets the league know, and somebody else gets chosen. So a little shrimp like Trae Young or whatever will make the team, even though they didn't make the first cut. He can still pretend like he's an all-star. Then we have the story of LeBron James, who tonight is the All-Star game, and today he announces he won't be able to play because of ankle and foot soreness.
Okay.
And look, if you've been watching this program for all the years I've been doing it, you know that I think LeBron James is the greatest player who's ever played the game.
Oh, I'd even go further, saying he's one of the greatest world athletes of all time. I put him up there with Ali and Gretzky and all that, and Pele and all that.
Yeah.
But anyway.
But again, I don't have to. I don't have to love him personally, to
Correct.
respect what he's done. The same thing was true of Michael Jordan, who was a bitter fucker.
He's
all
more
the
miserable than
accolades.
I am.
My God, all the accolades he received, the endorsements he received, everybody's acknowledgement that he was the GOAT, and his hate for people on the Utah Jazz. I mean, when he gets, into the Hall of Fame, his speech is laced with hate toward his former opponents. And it's like, what a dick.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, LeBron James is a fucking dick today.
Oh, what's he done?
Well, no, he announces today, I can't play. He could have done that 3 fucking days ago, and somebody else would have at least had the thrill of being on an all-star team. Instead, he hogged it for himself. To make matters even worse, and I'm not going to show the photograph because it makes me ill, is that the posing of players in all-star uniforms and LeBron's in the middle in street clothes. And
wow.
It's like, something, enough of that nonsense. If it's me first, I get it. The owners, it's really my pocketbook first. And for the athletes, a lot of it is me first. People like Draymond Green, who are now trying to scream as loud as they can about how lousy the NBA style of play is, when his own team was the one that's
kicked it all off
for the 3-point shooting. He's just a big dummy. All right. And he's also a dirty player. So. He's a dirty piece of shit player. He never knew how to shoot. He knew how to hit people in the groin. That's who Draymond Green is.
I could do that. I should have had an NBA career.
But, LeBron James, to me, is becoming like Black Elon Musk. It's like, you've got more money than God. You've got more accolades than almost God. And you can do whatever you want to do, go wherever you want to go. You can say whatever you want to say, and you can play as long as you play. You can get your son, who doesn't belong in the NBA, into the NBA. You could do goddamn whatever you fucking please.
Absolutely. I doubt whether his son belongs in the G League, but anyway.
But still, it's not enough. You gotta stand out in the crowd, and you've got to be the center of attention by saying you're not playing. You gotta go on a national broadcast and say, I'm taking my talents to South Beach. You can't do it in a classy way because it's all about you. And it's just like Elon Musk. It's all about him. And he's going to get himself pictured to the White House. It's never enough for a megalomaniac. It's never enough. And that pisses me off, because it's like, the reason that the NBA has gone directionless is because the owners want to do what the owners want to do to make money. The players want to do what they want to do to make money. And, then the ex-players who are past their prime want to bitch and moan because their day is past and gone. And they need somebody with a sane mind to take over the reins and say, this is what's good for all of us. This is what they cannot do in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, they cannot do that in virtually any country in the world, to be honest with you. Don't just blame it on the NBA in Washington. It's everywhere.
Yeah, it's true with the NFL. It's true at all.
It's everywhere.
But with the NBA, it's a marketing problem that isn't going to go away overnight. Now, the scary part of this is people are now screaming about LeBron because they never liked LeBron. And the reason they didn't like LeBron, God only knows. He brought the only championship to Cleveland. That's probably a bunch of self-loathing fans. It's a younger generation of sports fans who are fucking morons and ignorant, okay? Today's program features two such younger generation idiots. And I
Hey, you just brought in Hammer when you said that.
no, but no,
It's
Hammer
not
is
very
not
nice.
an idiot. No.
I was happy to be referred to as younger generation there for a second. I would take the idiot if I could be younger.
No, you know what it is?
Well,
if these people that I'm going to put up on the screen in just a minute here, if these people were members of the Monkees back in the 1960s,
hey, I could name all 4 of them.
Yeah, that's sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for myself. No,
I bet Hammer and you can too. Peter Tork and Mickey Dolenz and Michael Nesmith and
I will do it this way. Hey, we're the Monkees. People say we monkey around. You remember this horrible theme
We're
song?
just too busy singing to put anybody down.
But the
we're
last
just
line,
trying to be friendly.
Okay, enough. Yeah,
we're
one generation, and we've got nothing to say. That's what these people are. These people should be silent. Yeah. They should put dog muzzles on people like this. And I'm going to share this and present this screen because it is just the most pathetic of all. And if it's going to let me, you know, I'm having all kinds of interesting issues. All right, let's see if we can actually do this. Okay, this should come up. And do you see this?
Yeah, a couple of knob ends.
Yeah. And do you see the quote?
I am so sick of NBA players bitching about their schedule. This is the biggest problem, Adam Silver. You have players who just don't care and don't want to play.
Now, this has to be, and you'll see that's
a pretty dumb take, really.
Well, I mean, Daryl Ryder, I mean, look at him on the right. I mean, he's obviously got some kind of a learning disability or something. He's an idiot. He's got water on the brain because that's his quote. I'm so sick of NBA players bitching about their schedule. This is the biggest problem. You have players who just don't care and don't want to play. But you know something? One of our comrades here on Moohead Radio answered properly, and I'm moving this up. Did you see me move this up now?
Yes.
Michael Young is a guy I like a hell of a lot. Northeast Ohio guy. Michael's been on the program, for years ago, and he's still on Twitter doing his thing. He goes, how do you cover the league and be this dense? Teams give players rest days. Teams, rest days are determined by teams. If there's a situation where it's not, then report on it, credentialed media guy. I mean, it's really incredible.
That is good. I like that.
So, how do you even begin to take seriously idiots who say shit like that? How in the hell can you take that seriously?
You got to fill up a lot of airtime.
Yeah, it's the 24-hour cycle of these morons have to fill out. I mean, you struggle with 2 hours in a week. They've got 3 fucking hours every day, and I say that with all due respect that you struggle with 2 hours a week, because I would struggle with 5 minutes a week. Yeah.
Well, no, I used to do a show 5 days.
Yeah, I know. You used to do 5 days a week and then twice on Sundays. So yeah,
you've done all Howard Stern on us now.
Yeah, I was there for all that.
But you don't take 3 months vacation twice a year.
No, I mean, honestly,
like Johnny Carson.
I don't have enough to say to fit into 7 days of broadcasting, quite honestly.
Yeah.
And, if it weren't for the Browns' sheer ineptitude, I mean, Fridays and Mondays wouldn't be Fridays and Mondays during football season because they're so woeful. They just give us something to talk about. Now, this time of the year, these people are bitching and pissing and moaning about players. Well, the players aren't the problem because and here's the thing that's sad. You've got relatively young people like these idiots who, I mean, I've seen the NBA for a long, long time. I've been watching it and I've watched the game advance.
John Havlicek.
Yeah. I was watching all of this, the 70s, and the 80s and the 90s.
Miracle
NBA.
Richfield.
You could, Busher.
And you could see the game going from a below the rim to an above the rim, just like the people who were in the Bob Cousy 50s era and early 60s that, the one-handed dribbling. And then like they saw Earl the Pearl Monroe for the first time. It was like, and people doing all kinds of spinning moves. And then, they integrated Rucker Park kind of flair into the game. And so now NBA athletes are better than they've ever been. All right.
Yeah, I think athletes in general are.
Yeah. It's just factual. Yeah. They shoot better.
Yeah.
Since the 3-point shot was introduced, it keeps going up and they keep getting more efficient and better at it because it's such an integral part of the game.
Well, it's changed the game from where it was back in those days, where instead of an outside in, it's an inside out game.
Correct.
And, it's transition. It's less of JB Bickerstaff's half-court offense, and it's more getting into an offensive set. And like you said, getting the ball kicked in, and then you have shooters on either wing, and you have guards who can shoot. So there's always somebody behind the arc who can hurt you.
Yeah, the whole play is to get open looks. That's the whole.
And look at these guys who are 6'8", 6'9", 6'10", that can shoot threes consistently. I mean, back in the day, they wouldn't ever want them to shoot from that distance. If they weren't in the paint, it was ridiculous,
I mean, can you imagine Granville Waiters trying to do a 3-point shot?
I try not to think of Granville Waiters at all.
That's our era for me and Hammer. I stood next to him one time. I came up to his varsity letter.
He was 6'11", Granville Waiters.
He was a very big man. I hope he's still alive.
Yeah,
he's doing okay. Last I saw him a year or two ago.
Oh, good.
Was he in fact a waiter?
No. Okay. He actually ran a daycare for a while. I don't know if he still has it or not.
Ironic, though, wouldn't it, Hammer?
It's called Granny's Kids.
Isn't that
ironic? No, it's like rain on your wedding day.
Yeah, and you think that's any better, David?
And Carmen.
And Carmen and Anthony Lima? You think that come on. And
nice mug there, or is that Cousy?
They have better athletes. The game is more exciting to watch, but fewer people are watching. Why? And the reason is there comes a point where flair meets substance, and the important thing that's happened in the feeder system of NBA players is European players. We've been through that on the show.
We've been through that several times. Yeah, we've been through that.
Are we comparing which cancers are better than others, David?
there are some that are less poisonous. Let's put it that way. Or
like Mitch Hedberg and reading the side of the packs of cigarettes to decide which ones to smoke. Polyps. I think I can smoke these. That's not so bad.
Yeah. I forgot about him. Poor guy.
He's dead. He's very dead. Probably from smoking all those cigarettes.
He was funny though. I'll give him that.
He was awesome. I remember, could cause termination of pregnancy. Ooh, these are good.
We'll have that.
So you have these great athletes. Why is viewership down? And I'm living proof that the game is more exciting to watch. In a course of an average game with the Cavalanches we're witnessing this year.
Oh God, yeah.
I'm like,
I know.
Yelling. I'm yelling in my house.
Well,
I'm recreating that Disney film. That Disney film, Old Yeller. That's me.
That's you.
I'm yelling, and it's like, yes, or just damn, when the lob pass goes up, or Evan Mobley blows by somebody and slam dunks it over two people with his left hand, that kind of thing. And I'm like, holy shit, did I just see that? And it's my
Sam
team
Merrill,
doing it.
Sam Merrill getting 8 shots off in 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's my team doing it. Before, it was like, you'd watch the national game, and so you see Dr. J do that. And you go, oh, shit. Now,
Dr. J.
It's my team. It's
Exactly.
my guys. It's like Darius Garland dribbling the ball up the court, coming over the midcourt line, and hitting the game winner. God damn, the pusher man. I'm sitting there watching this going, yeah, and thump, 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 thump. My heart's beating. And it's like, why is nobody watching? And of course, the reason is because the league doesn't know how to market itself. It's not the players who don't want to play. It's they have one way of doing things and they're locked into it. And I am an expert at this. The luckiest thing financially in my life was consolidation that got me out of the radio business. I missed the business. I always felt that I was pushed out too soon, right? But the money was good and the memories are even better. I mean, but today, I'm not the same guy I was back then. What I can tell you is when you're older and set in your ways, it's no time to be coming up with new ways of doing things because nobody will listen to you. And you've been out of circulation long enough that you're probably not seeing every angle. You take one look at Adam Silver, and you know what I see? I gotta check it with my accountant. That's what I see. I don't see some innovator.
I'm glad you said that.
No, I mean, he's not an innovator. He's a guy
he's
sitting in a chair who replaced somebody
unless he's
else.
chasing after Harry Potter. No.
He's a very naughty boy. He's not the Messiah.
Well, but again, somebody's got to sit in that chair, and so he's the appointed one. But it's not a good situation when they're coming up with these desperate ideas on how to get people to watch, and fewer people are watching. But the bottom line is, when you get to the trade deadline, the most exciting time of the year, if you're in Los Angeles, New York, and Miami, so you cancel a trade, you get it canceled so that Luka can go to the Lakers,
Wow.
And nobody cares about LeBron anymore. Don't you understand that if LeBron won another championship, that's like Elon making another billion? Who gives a flying fuck? Give someone else a chance. For Christ's sake, give someone an opportunity. But in the end, even the trade deadline is polluted by last-second deals that help the favored franchises, all right? So the Knicks will get better, and the Lakers will get better. And then there are teams like the Dallas Mavericks. And the Dallas Mavericks are a team who now, I mean, if you played for that team, would you believe your team was actually trying to win?
No.
And I'll do this because most of the people who were just like Daryl Ryder and whoever the other guy, picks, I'll go back to before they were probably born and talk about what happened when Gordon Gunn bought the Cavaliers. How did you think the Cavaliers got all of those great picks when the team couldn't pick anyone except their nose when they were owned by the idiot? How did they end up with a new general manager and all of these picks? And on top of it, not only to get people like Mark Price and Brad Doherty in a draft, but just like, oh, and look who's hanging out, in the, what do they call it back then?
The green room or whatever.
No, they had a term like a supplemental draft, I think they called it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's right. It's like
Rod Williams.
Yeah, but he was part of a point shaving scandal. But let him go to Cleveland. They need the help. They really need the help because we're only as strong as every team in the league. That was the way they were thinking.
You should explain point shaving for the younger viewers because now it's like every fucking game because that's what it's all about.
You think that guy I just showed on the left, not the moron Reuter, but the other guy, He hasn't even shaved in his life. What would he know?
Wow.
Good God Almighty! He doesn't even have whiskers, and he's just pontificating like he knows something. How do you think the Cavaliers got back on their feet after LeBron left? There are deals made in this league, folks. Don't be naive. When LeBron James took his talents to South Beach, it didn't take long for the Cavaliers to suddenly get lucky. It's like, wow, we moved up how many places?
Yeah, the lottery. Yeah.
Yeah. And
that's a great short story, by the way. If you've ever read The Lottery by Shirley, whatever her name is, Shirley Williams or something.
I thought, wasn't she on Laverne and Shirley?
Perhaps, but no, it's a very famous short story.
It was kind of like Hunger Games before the Hunger Games.
Correct. Yes.
I'll take your words for it because I'm not familiar with it because I'm illiterate. But back then, it didn't take the Cavaliers long for Gordon Gund, and Gordon Gund sold the Cavs and made money, and and by the time he sold the Cavs, it was the Mike Fratello Tortoise Bowl that had, and quite honestly, it was a good thing he was blind. He didn't have to watch it every night. You know what I mean? Watching that era of the Cavaliers was very difficult. But prior to that, when you had regular playoff appearances, well, when Ron Harper got traded, then things started going downhill. And then we reached another lull with the no scoring, Sean Kemp bloated Cleveland Cavaliers. LeBron comes to save the day. Then he goes to take his talents to South Beach. But what do you know? We got some people here, man. We got a guy named Kyrie Irving. And it's like, wow, he's pretty good. And you start finding these guys and even the guys who didn't stick around, like what was his name? The guy who
Mo Williams.
No. Waiters, was that his name?
No, the other waiters. Yeah,
Dion Waiters. Is that his name?
Dion.
I mean, they were young players, and they were all these draft picks, and it was like, wow, these are credible players. We got some guys who can, do some damage here. But LeBron took it to the next level, and then he became the focus of the league. And then he leaves, and when he leaves, we end up with this bounty of picks again. It's like Cleveland never has luck. The Browns never have luck. The Jets never have luck. They're just so inept.
Yeah, Dion Waiters. Waiters Jr. was the guy. He's 33 years old.
Yeah, I mean,
apparently he's still with the Lakers. Is that true?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, he had talent, but he had a bad attitude. But
the other Waiters, I'm confusing with Van Waiters, was obviously a linebacker for the Cleveland Browns.
Yes, obviously.
He actually caught that touchdown pass on the fake field goal. In that game where I stood in the snow.
Yeah, so Van Waiters and Dion Waiters are not the same person.
Yeah. So here we sit, and we've been the benefactors of this before. It's just not every single year. Like,
no. And we got Anthony Bennett one time.
God damn, yeah. The goddamn Celtics, it's like, who are they going to get now? How are they going to get them back up there? It gets really old. And that's what's wrong with the NBA, is that they're overly focused on a few franchises. If they were smart businessmen, they would recognize that the revenues come from the how good the league is and how people are watching those teams. And there is no sense. I mean, if you're watching these Cavalier games when the Cavaliers are the road team and they're playing the Wizards, there's nobody watching the Wizards.
No, it's empty. Plenty of good seats available.
I mean,
that's the other thing the NBA can do. We've all now seen these horrible entertainment sketches that every single arena does the exact same thing. The guys with the drumsticks, the guys with the pogo sticks, the guys with the t-shirt guns,
and the fat woman dance teams,
and fat women dance teams. It's like they all use the same. It's like going into a McDonald's franchise in each city. It's all the same thing, except that the names of the players are different.
Yeah. Well, in the end, what happens is, if you weren't watching the Cavaliers broadcast when we last played the Wizards and it was empty, people were coming out after halftime because they were just hanging out, eating, and anything. That was
it was like going to a baseball game nowadays. There's like nobody watching the game. Everybody's
but they were walking what the game was being played, and the fans were walking on the sidelines, getting in the way of the players. I've never seen anything like it before. It was like a cattle call.
Yeah,
and the players were like, "What the fuck?" It's like guys were trying to take the ball out of bounds. Some guy with popcorn go, "Hey, let me get through here."
Exactly.
It's a real problem.
When you pay $12.50 for popcorn, though, don't you? Never mind.
Yeah. Exactly. You're entitled.
Yeah.
I'm surprised the guy didn't steal the ball and just try to take a 3-point shot and interrupt the game. I mean, it's but again, if the team that's the home team has no people watching it, then you're only as strong as all the franchises are. And right now, I hate to say this, but there are probably 5 or 6 franchises that you can just forget about. And one of them,
uniforms and everything.
Yeah. I mean, just that they don't need to be in the league because, this story jumped out at me. How much worse could it get for the Dallas Mavericks? Their assistant coach was arrested because he assaulted someone with a gun.
Oh. What, hit him with it?
It is Texas. I mean,
I think that's what they do down there. Yeah.
The Mavericks said they're aware of an incident and have suspended an employee that they didn't identify. Well, it's your assistant coach, Daryl Armstrong. That's who did it. And he threatened to shoot the person who was a woman. That's what happened. So that we know. It's like, oh, please.
Oh, can I briefly segue to something else very quickly that I just remembered? These NBA broadcasts, right? For anybody that chooses to go to an NBA game live and you get picked to do that silly card high-low game, always go with what it is because they'll give you a 2, a queen, a 4, a 6, and then a king. You'll win every single time. And what was hilarious was one of the last times they did it in Cleveland. Ahmad's talking to this like silly, woman about our age, and she wanted to stop at level 4. She wanted to keep what she had so far, and it was obvious that the card was going to be higher. She's like, "Oh no, I don't." And Ahmad just looks at the camera like, "Are you serious?" I mean, all those little games they have, like with the key, where you have to beat the dealer, and Moondog. If Moondog gives you a really big offer, you got a shit suitcase. If Moondog gives you a really shit offer, you got the best suitcase. I mean, that's how it goes in all these stadiums. It's so predictable, and it's getting really boring.
Well, the product is exciting to watch, but when your home team has no chance of winning and they just blow monkey chunks, there's no point to go out and spend money to watch that. It's depressing. It's like,
indeed, if you care about it.
It's like they stay close for 3 quarters. In the 4th quarter, it's like they're the ones in the stands munching on the popcorn. They stop playing and they lose. And it's how many of us can lose how many in a row so that we can have a better chance of getting a better pick. And, it's worse than football because even an average team like the Houston Texans, and they're not really any much better than average, folks, or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who really aren't any better than average, can get into the playoffs.
Or the Steelers. Yeah.
But if you're lucky enough to be in a division with the Cleveland Browns, you
get 2 wins every year.
That's right. You can check those right off the list. And the same thing with the Jets. And so and if you have the Jets and the Patriots together, woo, you're the Buffalo Bills, and you're ready to fuck the world over and over again. So they can reload at will. So
I don't know if it was talked about, but did anybody mention how just unfunny Kevin Hart is? Well, God, it was like nails on a fucking chalkboard trying to watch that.
You know,
last night between the game and the commentary. Ugh.
Well, that's the other thing I was going to say. I mean, you're either playing a fucking game or you're not. You don't take 20 minutes off in the middle of the game. Okay, you don't do
something for fucking TNT. You could have done after the game.
Yeah, you don't put Kevin Hart on court in between and keeping people to so that they will go cold and pull muscles. You don't do that. That's not good for business. And
it's like Karl Anthony Towns hits 2 straight threes, and he's like, "Stop shooting!" He's just berating these fucking guys for shooting the ball. Like, what are we doing?
It wasn't exactly what you'd call a great impromptu kind of comedy. It was aggravating and grating and something that it would appeal to nobody. And I don't know what they're thinking. And they're trying to get away from the competitive game thing to make it entertainment, but you need it to be entertainment if you're going to do that.
Yeah, the Harlem Globetrotters already perfected that like 80 years ago. What are they trying to do?
The only way they could salvage this somehow is to do what the National Hockey League's doing and do a 4 nations type thing. But then again, the NBA the USA would just win every game by 20.
No, they wouldn't. No, they wouldn't. Not with no. They nearly lost the Olympics, and not with France and Spain and no, they wouldn't. South Sudan nearly beat them. So,
well, and now here's the other thing that is so ridiculous. It's like, so you have this stupid format that didn't make any sense to me. And, so Steph Curry leads the OGs to the title, wins All-Star Game MVP. Like, that wasn't predictable. I mean, he's a corpse. He's a carcass. Steph Curry is no longer of any significance in this league whatsoever. He will go down in history as a great shooter who propelled the value of the three-point shot. Great player, great shooter, but it's over. It's done. And
I think 20 years from now, he'll be pretty much forgotten.
What kind of a salute is it? Well, he led the OG team to the title. I mean, it wasn't even a fucking game. What difference does it make? But even in the stupidity of the format they choose, they still have to keep filleting the same players over and over again. It's like, oh, Steph, come in my mouth. Come in my mouth. It's like, I'm not ready yet, Alan.
Oh, wow.
Or Adam. Oh, you can shoot your load anytime. We're going to give you the MVP. I don't need this shit. This is why people are not watching. It's old. It's crusty. And why aren't you hearing more about Oklahoma City? Why? They're a great basketball team. They have some great players, have some great defensive players. And there's the Houston Rockets, who have on and off look good, then not so good, but they have a guy who's their head coach, who's not the Secretary of State or the Secretary of Defense. He's the Secretary fucker, okay? And Udoka got out of Boston, but he is a good coach as long as you don't give him a female assistant. He's a really good coach, and that team could beat anybody in the playoffs. They have the ability to get it done. Very athletic, very long. And you have to embrace the league for what it is. And here I am. I'm a 67-year-old man saying this. You got these young idiots, on YouTube who are just ripping on the players. And it's like, oh, man. You got a bunch of old men, and I'm one of them. But the old men who own these teams are really old and stodgy, and they're not even concerned about the product, for God's sake.
No.
But That's what's wrong with the NBA. The NBA has the athletes, and it's exciting to watch, but not enough teams really have a chance to win. That's the problem.
It is.
No, so that's.
Is Kevin Hart the? Forgive me for not living in America, but is he the little guy that does the BetMGM?
Yeah.
Blogs? Is he the BetMGM? Well, that's why they got somebody that shills for a casino as somebody on the broadcast.
And of course, Trae Young didn't like the format because he wasn't filleted.
Doesn't like anything. Yeah, he doesn't.
He wasn't filleted by Adam Silver. So I mean, that's all it's about for a lot of these people. Unfortunately, I wish that there was more. That's what's so fun about watching the Cavaliers, and why it hurt kind of with Niang and LeVert leaving. Not, I think it's a good move business wise, but the closeness that you saw on that team, it's such a rarity in the NBA where you got Jimmy Butler saying, I'm not going to play ever again. You can do whatever you want with me. I'm not going to play another minute for the Miami Heat. And you get players who just go rogue, and you got owners who just become, we don't care. You can stay here. We'll bench you, and we'll totally devalue you. How do you like that? And that's just not the way to run a business. There has to be, and the players make a good amount of money and the owners make a really good amount of money, but you got to make it appealing to watch. And if you can't do that, if you can't promote all of your franchises, you're not a league.
No.
And, I look at the Thunder and I say, wow, that's a good team. And the Cavaliers are a really good team. And I understand that the Celtics would be the favorites to win it again, but I think 40% of it is because the league would want them to, not because that they would earn it. They're not better than they were last year by any stretch of the imagination. The best teams of the NBA are Oklahoma City and Cleveland. Those are the teams with the best records. Go fuck yourselves if you don't believe it, because that's the truth.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that they're the best equipped to play in the playoffs. Doesn't mean that, because the rules changed in the playoffs, which is another problem.
Yeah, the rules change, the refereeing changes, and you're not playing weaker teams like three out of 4 games. So, yeah.
So that's what's wrong with the NBA. Now, what's wrong in Cleveland, besides the fact that
horribly wrong?
Yeah, that Jimmy Haslam is just still trying to rape people to build his dome and all that.
Oh yeah, the county's going to borrow money on his behalf to build the dome and give it to him. Yeah, that's going to work.
And and I want to share this with you because it's really indicative. I wish it wasn't indicative, but it is. Here we go.
Yeah. You know what? I don't know who the fuck that is.
You gotta take comment off the screen there.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. His name is Jacob Junis, and he's a washed up pitcher, and the Guardians have just said, we'll take him.
Oh god, we gotta rehabilitate him, like they did in Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, he's coming off of Tommy John surgery.
Oh, he'll probably kick ass.
He looks like, you know what he looks like? He looks like an Amishman with a decent fastball. Do make it stop.
Stephen Vogt's home for wayward pitchers.
Goodness gracious.
So that's a newest Guardian. Is that what you're trying to say? Welcome to the tribe.
And now I'm trying to figure out this studio is doing really kooky things. Now I can't see. How do I get out of full screen mode? This is ridiculous.
No. Help.
I know.
Here's the story of a lovely lady
who was
I know. God.
Who was speaking to 3 very ugly guys.
I don't understand what I'm supposed to do now. I
Oh
am
no,
stuck.
that's
I
Charlie
can't.
Weaver in the bottom left-hand corner there. He might know.
My God. God help me.
Wally Cox.
I think if you
Let me
click on your picture, Moo, you can make yourself the center of attention again.
The big hoss.
All right. No, solo layout. That doesn't help me.
There you go.
That's what it's all about me. I'm LeBron
It's
James.
all about me, baby. My walking.
I'll tell you something. I was big time out there this last time. My voice was dying at the end of me, but the game went on. My voice was kind of going on. Started to sound like Louis Armstrong, baby.
It's a wonderful world, Dickie V.
This is ridiculous. I have to be able to get this. This is one of those moments that you just say,
"Oh, how is Topaz the Wolf anyway?"
"Oh no, he's great. He's better off than I am." Yeah, I can't get out of this. Now I can't get back to the bunch of you.
Let's try to name an entire block of Hollywood squares. We got Charlie Weaver, Wally Cox, Paul Lynde, Rosemarie,
Fanny Flagg,
Leslie Uggams,
Charles Nelson Riley.
Charles Nelson Riley.
So Bronk is going to take over the show while I'm sitting here struggling.
I'm struggling now too.
Man, this is ridiculous. This is the most ridiculous.
Don Donald was so dumb.
Don Rickles was on there.
Sometimes you keep hitting buttons.
Yeah, you press the right buttons there.
Finally. God Almighty,
we still got to keep on trying. Never mind.
We're going to have an equal show.
John Davidson, very good remake. George Gold.
Hey, I've had Byron Allen sit on my lap before, so
brutally.
Here we go.
Hey. You can teach an old dog new tricks.
Or an old cow.
Old cow.
Yeah, but we got Jacob Junis and
Jacob Junis.
$4.5 million.
That sounds like some guy.
Physical.
Is he one of the Junis brothers?
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be like some boy band guy who died from an overdose when he reached 38 years old. You know.
And so he had to pass his physical. The picture of him should be with his head turned one way and the doctor grabbing his crotch.
No, that's Jim Jordan.
I think they're really just trying to stockpile arms in case, because
they fall off.
It's just outside of Bybee, everybody else is kind of like up in the air. I think Luis, whatever his name is from Pittsburgh, I think they penciled him in, but right now it looked like the fifth starter is Tristan McKenzie, and we all know how that worked out last year.
Now, David Talevsky, where did you see Bruce Drennan doing a sports betting commercial?
I love you, Bodog.
I mean, what would it sound like?
For Ben 365.
Yeah, I really miss my cellmate. I'm going back. That's why I'm using this service, because I love him.
Though. Al, that stuff is legal though. Back when I used to do this, I could get in trouble for it. Now you can place bets right at the game.
You think it hurts when you lose a bet.
You should be in West Virginia.
I hated it, Cleveland.
And my favorite Bruce Drennan was Ducks on the Pond when he was doing the play-by-play. Ducks on the Pond.
Used to irritate the hell out of Joe Tate.
He used to irritate the hell out of my wife listening to the games with me.
It hurts my throat, just like it did for Bruce in jail.
I love you, FanDuel.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but he would sit there with Joe Tate. He'd go, "Oh, Joe, there are ducks on the pond, Joe. There's ducks on the pond." And there would just be silence. Joe Tate was like, this idiot out of the press box. And Bruce was so young at the time, you know. And you know, he idolized Joe Tate, you know. Yeah. But if you worked a year with Joe Tate, you probably wouldn't idolize him anymore, you know.
That's why he did a lot of games alone, I think. So anyway.
And yeah, this is what a lot of people would feel, Rich. Yeah. The first 9 seconds of that game said it all. It's a MAGA hockey game, you know? This makes me want to vomit. The whole thing makes me want to vomit. You know, you got the Canadians booing the Americans. You've got the American president referring to their guy as a governor. And, you know, it poisons every facet of our lives.
It's very childish, isn't it? Not like we ever get childish on this program. So
make America go away.
Well,
goodness gracious.
Anyway.
Oh, so we're going back to Hollywood Square references.
Yeah.
God, I forgot about Charlie Weaver.
Charlie Weaver, man.
Can I get Waylon and Madam, please, in the corner?
And now
I had him in the corner once.
And now Nanette
Fabre. Yeah. John David.
It was on local TV, David says. What channel aired it? I want a copy of that commercial.
Oh, it's got to be Channel 61. Is that still around?
Yeah.
Channel 61.
Probably
Paul Lindy and
no, I don't know. Did Bruce Drennan marry a Miss Ohio from 1926? No, I have no idea.
He might have done. There was a Miss Ohio that actually did belly dancing as her talent. And
really?
She performed at an Ohio State football halftime show.
I was going to say an NBA halftime show. There had to be
Jim
a
Hammer
line of this.
What'd she do? She did the plate thing?
Did the belly plates? Yeah, the belly dance thing.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Didn't both Paul Lynde and Wally Cox commit suicide?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
Well, I know that Wally Cox did. Wally Cox definitely committed suicide.
But Paul Lynde had cancer.
Oh, did he?
It's probably all the cigarettes.
I don't know. I'll have to look.
Yeah. For some reason, I think that both of them killed themselves. They were no help in the block at all.
No.
Never there when you needed them.
Yeah, they should have had Jenny on the block. But anyway.
He had a heart attack.
Oh yeah, he was found dead. That's what David
found dead. Yeah,
and he's actually his cremated remains are interred in Amity Cemetery in Amity, Ohio.
How about that? You know, I guess being found dead, that would be the best way I'd want to find Paul.
Oh, here's two other classics from that era: Jan Murray and Kay Ballard. And Kay Ballard, I believe that's from Cleveland.
That's really obscure. Sure. That's disgustingly obscure. I wanted to finish the program with a really sad story, seeing as how I've been rude and making fun of Paul Lynde being found dead.
Yeah,
I wonder if he was doing one of those over-exaggerated faces when he died. If they were having trouble getting that.
Maury Amsterdam.
Maury Amsterdam. That's another classic guy.
And Rosemary, if you're going to go.
Rosemary.
Betty White.
Oh, God. So, again, for the people who, know baseball, Bobby Jenks, who's 43 years old, is being treated for stage 4 adenocarcinoma. It's a form of stomach cancer, folks. He revealed this in an interview with MLB.com. He shared the news from a hospital bed in Portugal, where he and his family moved to be closer to his wife's family. Which, when you go to be closer to his wife's family, then
when you're surrounded by family, you're definitely dying.
There you have it. Here's the quote from Jenks, who was a 6'4", 275 pounder. He was a big, big pitcher. The The shit I was doing in my 20s and early 30s, no normal person would have survived. In another way, I'm not surprised it happened. I'm grateful to be alive. It goes to show you have to take care of yourself from top to bottom with nutrition and exercise and having a good daily plan. However, he's saying, I'm not saying that's 100% the factor of what's happened here. He and his family first moved to Portugal in October of 2024, just recently. He had deep vein thrombosis in his right calf, which led to multiple blood clots in his lungs. Ooh. But in January, he went back to the hospital after more testing, experiencing low energy, jaundiced skin, and yellow eyes. He underwent a CT scan that showed a tumor in the middle of his chest that had spread over his stomach lining, lower back, hips, and bones. The tumor also led to bleeding in his stomach, which caused severe digestive issues. Now, this gets worse. In addition to the health issues, Jenks said his family lost their home and possessions in Pacific Palisades, California, following the recent wildfires. The one thing he does still have is his championship ring that he won with the White Sox in 2005.
Wow.
He's previously stopped consuming drugs and alcohol and began eating healthier. He acknowledged his shock at hearing his diagnosis, but is optimistic about his path forward in beating cancer. This addendum, the life expectancy for stage 4 cancer of this nature depends on the patient's age, health, and treatment response. 5-year survival rate for stage 4 non-small cell lung cancer is about 7%. The 5-year survival rate for extensive stage is about 3% are alive after 5 years. How long can I live with it? Around 5 out of 100 people with stage 4 cancer of this type will survive for 5 years or more. 95%, he's a goner. And you hate to hear this shit. You just hate to hear it. But, and he may be looking at his life saying, gosh, I wish I would have gone at it easier, but that's not what gave him cancer, I don't think. And there's so much familial in this. You know, it's
I mean, you can live a perfectly clean life and die of horrible cancer too. So, I mean, everyone's different.
So nothing quite like ending the show on a downer, but yeah,
it is. Yeah, we haven't mentioned any ass raping whatsoever in this program, have we?
No, I've really done everything I can to
avoid it.
That's true. Although we did talk about Bruce Dren.
Bruce Dren in West Virginia, though, in prison. So that was nearly went that way. But so Cats played Brooklyn. So what's up with them? Ty Jerome not playing, or maybe not.
Well, look, the team's not playing until Thursday. So
that was my other question that I've now just remembered. So Atkinson and all these all-stars of Cleveland's have gone to this all-star game fiasco. Yep. Who remained behind with the rest of the team to make sure that they stay sharp during this week of not playing?
I don't know. Was Damari Carroll, was the whole coaching staff there or just certain members?
I don't know. That's why I'm asking. I mean, what did the rest of the team do for this week? And were they
most of the guys go to Cancun? They're on vacation. They don't have
they're just resting because God only knows how hard the schedule is. We're coming right back to a 3 games and 4-day stretch here.
Correct. So no one reports what they did though, like for this week. I mean, did they fly away to somewhere or get food poisoning in Mexico or whatever?
I already told you, Ron, what was going to happen. You can accuse 20 more, 20 more women can accuse him of doing that, and it's not going to matter because it only matters when it's the black quarterback of the Cleveland Browns. And I am proven right. Everybody else is proven wrong. And that's all that matters is that I know that I'm seeing the world straight and not paying attention to idiots like Daryl Wright and Reuter or Rotor or whatever the fuck his name is. And I'm seeing straight without being swayed by stupid opinions. Fact is, the the reaction to Deshaun Watson was way out of balance. And the silence on this guy, on Justin Tucker, is just as equally ridiculous. And for them to happen back to back like this, there could be no question about this. And there are plenty of women who were confronted by these two men. And the fact of the matter is, I don't agree with it. I don't agree with that lifestyle. And, who knows, because they're professional athletes, they may feel they're entitled to treat people this way. It's sickening.
Well, they can't be the only two athletes out there doing stuff like that. I mean, just
and you can't.
Fucking
and Rich,
averages.
you're right. You can't tell me that the Ravens didn't know and hear about this. And it comes out right after he can't kick straight anymore.
Correct. He starts having a bad year, and then the shit comes all.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the way it
when
plays.
You fall off the top of the ladder, that's when people start hitting you with a sock full of coins. So
I will say, did you see who the fucking attorney is behind these guys suing fucking?
It's not Tony Busby, I can tell you that.
Oh, it's not?
No.
I thought I saw that it was Tony Busby again, because he seems like he's on every fucking scandal this side of the Mississippi.
Busby will only get in on the action against black quarterbacks and rappers. If you haven't noticed, this is what he does, and he finds people who are famous, okay? And especially if he can tie in famous and race into the thing, he's all for it. But, and people who are saying on the internet, well, the reason is because Tucker's just a kicker and Deshaun Watson's a quarterback. And the answer is, no, his name was in the headlines because of the deal he signed. And that publicity made him more of a target for a guy like Tony Busby, who's a creep, who is a guy who is dishonest and lies and does anything he can to extort money from wealthy celebrities and accuse this person of being a pedophile or raping this person or that person. And you can't win with a sewer rat. You can't win. A wrestling match with a pig, you're going to get dirty. And what I feel about Busby is the way I feel about the way things are going in this country and the bad attitude and the bad vibes, that you keep your mouth shut. You just keep clean and keep cool. But, people stepping out of their lane and people are going to get bitch slapped. And Tony Busby one day is going to run into a case that he says yes to, and it's going to be the wrong fucking people. And he's going to end up losing a leg or an arm or worse than that, because you can't do this act over and over and just extort money from people, especially and in the case here, there is no other explanation. It was happening from, what did they say, it was like a 4 or 5 year period. I want to say 2012 to 2016. Does that sound right? No, that sounds like too long ago, but it started like in 2015 maybe to 2019, something like that. And hush hush, nobody talks. And they're the Ravens, they're the champion Ravens. Can't talk about that.
Well, we've said this before, but the worst thing about the modern world is this non-disclosure agreement culture that has evolved, and it's not just in America. This is going on again everywhere, and that's what keeps a lot of this under wraps and people afraid and scared.
Yeah, and it's the fact of the matter is the payout is the payout, and then it goes away. But then the haters will continue to hate,
because that's what they do. That's how they get their enjoyment.
And the fact that people are still talking about Deshaun Watson just proves that they're racists, because whatever justice was going to come of this, people got paid. It ran its course. He failed as the Cleveland Browns quarterback. He did not play well. He was not healthy. and he did not help the team in any way, shape, or form. So I would say that he went from a high, lofty thing down to hit the ground. And now you want to step on him while he's on the ground. And that is MAGA. Because there is no relenting when it comes to hate. No relenting. No relenting from the Ku Klux Klan. There ain't no such thing. You know, you don't say, oh, you know, we hung that guy, so we're done. No, we got to find 20 more to hang. That's what hate is. And it doesn't matter which side of the fence is committing the hate. A hate crime's a hate crime. And I'd say that you're never going to take the money away of the 30 some odd $1 million that Deshaun Watson was earning, but because what idiot Haslam gave him, you're not going to get that money back. So I don't know what's the point.
So now Cuyahoga County's got to loan out that sort of money into the marketplace to pay for Jimmy Haslam and Dee Haslam's dome. So isn't that amazing?
The other thing is, I really don't dwell on Justin Tucker. I really don't care. I mean, but I am just looking at the way people are reacting, and it's a social commentary of the times we're living in. It's the same identical, if you want to call it a crime, even though it's not a standing thing in a criminal court, it is the same act committed by two men who worked in the same league, playing the same game.
So do you think Tucker's going to get the same sort of suspension?
I think that he was going to get let go by the Ravens anyway, because he can't kick straight anymore. His leg's gone. He wasn't able to get the ball there from the, this is a guy who used to kick 61-yard field goals, and he was coming up short in 50.
So that's my point. It's too late to suspend him now because he's kicked himself out of the league, basically.
Basically, things took care of themselves for the Ravens. Now, the Browns, it's a different story when you have a dumb owner who's willing to give up $230 million for somebody who has a character issue. But the hush-hush that has happened since 2015 with Justin Tucker, so it goes. And you keep it silent for as long as you can. Nobody continues to talk about Bob Kraft and him doing the same thing. Nobody talks about that.
Probably film of that. Or
they had film of it. They destroyed the film.
And there's film of people getting peed on in the Moscow hotel.
Honest to God, I really wanted that film of Kraft to be publicized. Put it all over the internet. But no, it got destroyed for the NFL owner. It got destroyed. So that's the unequal justice, And they let him play.
Yeah, that's my point.
And we let Watson play. And Watson wasn't the same player. And who knows? Maybe before the season began, maybe Tucker got an inkling that some of this was going to come back and haunt him because he was praising himself as being a super religious guy. And and maybe that's why his kicking went off, because he knew the jig was up. Maybe he knew that.
There's a parallel here. It's not the same sort of thing, but Manchester City Football Club's being done for various financial irregularities here, and they're about to get penalized, something almighty. And funnily enough, their form has dropped in the past 2-3 months, where they can't fucking win a game. Now, you can't tell me that they don't know that shit's going to happen. So the same thing happened to Tucker and, obviously Watson in Houston. So
we don't live, in a vacuum.
No.
And the fact that Jimmy Haslam was dumb enough to do what he did, not doing his homework, that's
due diligence.
That's the description
for them.
Right. That's the first rule of business. And if you can't do that, you can't own a business successfully. And but in the NFL, you can make a ton of money for
you can
losing.
do whatever you fucking want in the NFL and still make it. I still say there should be a rule that if you're the owner of a team and you die, you cannot pass your inheritance on without some sort of massive tax or be forced to sell the franchise. Because I'll one day I will go through all the franchises that are owned by the second and third and fourth generation of these owners, like the Hallises and the guy in Oakland and fucking Haslams and all these other twats that have run their teams into the ground. Yeah.
Well, I got to get out of here. It's 11 minutes after 6. You got 11 minutes of bonus Moohead.
Bonus bullshit.
Thanks, Tony.
Bonus cow shit.
Thanks, Hammer Time. Thanks, Moose. Thank everybody for jumping in.
We'll be Cavs.
Go Cavs. It'll come Thursday. Got to be ready to roll. And we'll be back on Friday to talk about the outcome of that game and what's coming up that night, which will be another game, I think.
Yeah.
So, well, we'll be seeing you at the end of the week. Until then, hasta la vista, Pasture Heads. Good night.